Also, welcome back everybody to the Reinsurance podcast here at Monte Carlo Rendezvous 2023. Delighted to have another special guest with us today. We've got Shawn Ram, who runs insurance at Coalition, which means I think we're in for a conversation all about cyber, which I'm very excited about. How are you, Shawn? How's it going?
Doing well. Very excited to be here.
Excellent. And how has your conference been so far?
It's been wonderful. Super busy. Obviously, there's a lot of great people here, great resources, a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. And I guess you're a bit like us in some ways, in the sense that you're not a traditional cedant broker reinsurer with your standard deal making, right? You're doing something a bit special. So could you tell us a bit about what Coalition's doing and what kind of conversations you have whilst you're here?
Sure. Coalition's a cyber provider. We write in North America, in the UK, and Australia, have about 80,000 policyholders. Historically, we've operated as an MGA, having capacity from various companies around the world. We also operate our own insurance company. So we operate an admitted insurance company in the United States, admitted in almost 50 states today, 46 states. And then we also we have our own balance sheet capital as well.
Nice. And as I understand it, you're actually part of the founding team of Coalition. So you've seen it through from, I guess, what was it at the beginning when you first started?
Yes, there was just a few of us when we started the company. That was in March of 2017.
Nice.
So we're 6 years into this. And honestly, I feel like we're still at the beginning. It's by far the most fun I've had professionally in my career by a mile. It's just been an absolute delight. Certainly humbled by the success we've had, but it's been a lot of hard work and frankly, a lot of great stories.
Yeah, brilliant. And so can you help our audience as they're listening to this just understand, because they hear about cyber all the time, they hear that cyber is very, very important and that capacity for cyber is very important and so on. What's really going on? What are the key themes when you're inside the cyber world right now? What's the main conversation topic?
Yeah, I think it would be a few things that I would highlight. So firstly, we are in the middle of a digital revolution, right? Everything is being digitized today. If you look at the historical asset class of the S&P 500, it would be focused on tangible property, right? Boiler, machinery, buildings. Today, it's largely things you don't see, right? It's intellectual property, it's digitized assets. And so when we think about the risk profile of businesses today versus of the past, there's a massive shift that's occurring, and we, as the insurance industry, need to adapt to that. So that'd be the first trend. At a more micro level, certainly the topic of the day today is ransomware. With the pandemic, there was a ransomware epidemic that happened throughout the industry. With the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, we saw that subside a bit, and as the war has matured, ransomware is back in full force. And I think when we think about ransomware, we think about cyber, there's a lot of discussion around the industry around what is truly catastrophic risk in cyber, systemic risk in cyber. And so this notion of one event causing many customers to have a loss, certainly the topic of malware or systemic failure around various companies comes to mind. The manner in which we attack this risk, quantify this risk, model this risk, will play a significant role in how we think about the future in cyber.
Absolutely. And for cyber in particular, I guess your data challenges, your modeling challenges are very different to any other line of business because things change faster, it's newer. How do you get around that? It's
true. Cyber is definitely very dynamic, right? Oftentimes in insurance, you write a 365-day policy, you have a good sense of what the risk will be at the beginning of the policy and at the end of the policy. Cyber is very different, right? The risk evolves in a really dynamic fashion and changes as technology is utilized, as risk is digitized, as I mentioned earlier. Coalition's in a bit of a unique position in that we operate our own technology that goes out and collects about 50 trillion data signals per month. This is utilized by companies around the world outside of an insurance context, but it gives us a unique view on how we think of cyber dynamically. We don't just underwrite a company at the moment of a submission. We do it throughout the entire policy period.
Makes sense. And do you provide that back to those companies as well and give them insight in some way?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Yes, because of the dynamic nature of cyber, it's important to continuously evaluate cyber. And this isn't to say that the terms change or the premium changes. It just means that we become a risk management partner with our policyholders throughout the policy period.
Which is quite interesting, I guess, because to some extent, your capital partners, your reinsurers, etc., must feel happier knowing that they're working with an insurer that's going beyond just risk transfer, right? You're also adding an extra level of risk. Do you find that's helped you in sourcing capital historically? Or?
Absolutely. We call this concept active insurance, right? Okay. This is the idea that the insurance policy is not passive. Yeah. It's not something that only provides you value when you have a claim or at renewal. The risk management services we provide actively provide this ability to understand if you made a decision may lead to a claim, what that decision is, how you fix it, and then also Coalition, we do everything we can to help them fix it, kind of included in the policy. Yes, that certainly contributes to the capacity perspective because it's very tangible how it improves loss ratio.
Yeah, and just for listeners again who aren't very familiar with cyber, what does a payout typically cover? It's not a typical here's some money. Sometimes you've got recovery services and all sorts of other things involved. What does Coalition tend to deal with in these scenarios?
So we're actually just about to we produce a report on our claims every year, or excuse me, twice a year, and it's public, right? So our three most common claim vectors are business email compromise. So your email getting compromised. The second one is fraudulent funds transfer, right? So you get social engineered. You pay an invoice every month and someone sends you that same invoice but has the wrong bank routing information. You don't realize that and you pay an adversary versus your vendor. And the final one is ransomware. From a severity perspective, it's the reverse. So ransomware drives the most severity, then FTF, and then BEC. And you're right, a cyber policy covers a variety of things. So in addition to paying these claim vectors, it kind of helps you get the adversary out of the network, if you will. It provides incident response services, breach response if you lost confidential information. It certainly pays the ransom, any litigation-related costs. So it's a product that frankly is not only widely utilized, but provides a tremendous amount of value.
That's really, really wonderful overview of cyber for everybody here. So thank you so much, Shawn. I hope everybody else will reach out to you if they need to find out more about cyber in general or about Coalition. But it's been wonderful to have you here on the show. Thanks again.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.